we're spending billions of dollars. So let me ask members, any other questions on, yes, Member Brown, key finding 1.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I see where the Auditor General in the audit findings related to this particular one would have said that there was a failure to provide strategic plans despite having hired and paid 2 consultants, USD $186,000 or approximately 30 million, and she referenced it earlier on in our opening remarks. That that was paid out and they still can't find any document. I don't know if it should be directed to the CEO. I know you are new, but I know you have officers behind you. You have your full team here. What happened? How that go? Could you also name the consultants, the 2 consultants, and what their purview, what were their responsibility? Give an overview. $30 million were paid to 2 consultants, and the Auditor General can't find no reports or nothing. So could you give us an update as to what is happening? And if you could name who those consultants were and what they actually did.
Okay, there are 2 firms that were employed. One was to help with the strategic plan, and that contract was for approximately 90 million. And then of the 186, it was 50% of the contract for the other person was the other 90 million. Sorry, no, it's in total has been paid out is 186,000
US.
90,000, sorry, 90,000 would have been paid to one to do the strategic plan, which was done. What could not be provided was the report from the second consultant, which in fact we have subsequently provided to the Auditor General and to the Ministry. They were contracted because their contract could not be located at the time, as well as we were able to obtain a preliminary report from them in February of this year, and also a copy of the contract. They signed the contract. So there was a contract but not signed. We were able to provide a copy of the signed contract and the preliminary report for the second. And the second one there to provide an operation plan as well as a turnaround plan for the hospital in terms of its viability from a financial standpoint, because at this moment it is not in the best shape.
So
yes.
So the signed contract was done after findings of Auditor General. That's what you're saying?
No, it was this
because you say you couldn't find it.
It was found after, but it was signed before the Auditor General's finding. But it wasn't presented. It was not presented. So it was there. What we are seeing, it was signed before, but it was not presented to the audit. The contract, the signed contract, was not presented to the Auditor General.
I think. Can the Auditor General respond to that, please? Because.
Or I just need a bit of clarification. What that was present, that was missing, that was found.
The signed contract.
Contract.
Yes.
Okay. So are we speaking about the contract or the strategic plans?
The strategic plan, as well as the 2 consultants who were hired.
Oh, the consultant. Right. So, okay, fine. All right. So let me speak about the strategic plan and the operational review, because we spoke about not seeing an approved strategic plan.
Yes.
So an entity was engaged to undertake a strategic review.
That's right.
And transformational review as well.
Yes.
No. One was
strategic and operational.
No, one was for operation and turnaround. One was for strategic and transformational. Yes. And produce a transformational plan. Yes. But that's not a strategic plan. Right. So we did not see the strategic plan. The colleague is letting me know the intent was to use the strategic review and transformational plan to inform the strategic plan, but we didn't see an approved strategic plan. No, for the operations review.
Sorry, just for clarity here, you use the word approved a couple of times. Is it that it existed but was not approved by the entity?
It was not approved by the board.
It wasn't approved by the board?
No.
But it existed?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So it's not
okay.
draft, but
Yeah.
no.
Okay, so there was a draft report.
The
then.
draft presented to the board, but the board did not accept it and did not approve it.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Right.
But the second one,
The operations review
And the turnaround.
development of the turnaround plan. We have not seen the turnaround plan. We haven't seen that plan. But last week, we received a draft operations review document.
that is correct, along with the signed contract between us and the person.
Okay, so we were of the impression that the consultant failed to provide the document at the time that it should have been provided, but they submitted
Last
it
week.
in February 2026.
So
That's my understanding.
let me, so I can be clear. There were two consultants engaged.
That's right.
One provided a plan which went to the board but was not approved by the
The
board.
strategic plan.
The strategy wasn't approved by the board, but they delivered something, but the board didn't sign off on it. The second one, you said the document itself was just provided 2 months ago, February, last month?
Last week. She said.
And my
Last-
understanding is that it was submitted, the draft, what we saw, a draft document that,
February.
right. And let's just put this into context because this contract was 2024 and the document should have, because as you know, a turnaround means that you need to address something. It should have been produced 4 months after we received it last.
Yeah, so the question is, on the second one, was the consultant fully paid?
No. He has
No?
been paid 50%. So the first one, the total amount was approximately 90,000 US. On the second one, the total amount was approximately 180,000 US. So the first one was paid 90, and the second one was paid another 90, which comes up to about the 186,000. Now, so the second one has received half the payment. We were up to the time when I came, we had not received any report, but he provided us with an interim draft report.
Hold on, Mr. Hosing. When was he contracted, or she?
In 2024. About,
So it took 2 years and the Auditor General report,
end of 2024, sorry.
2 years and the Auditor General report to get a draft after him 50%.
50%.
Yeah, but it's 50% of his money.
Yes,
For the entity to get something,
that is correct here.
Really a joke.
oh boy. All right, I just wanted to be clear, because that is crazy, that you could pay 50% almost 2 years, and only because the Auditor General goes in that he produces that report after getting 50% of money. Madness that.
Total madness.
Madness,
I mean, it,
Yeah.
it points again to a broader systemic problem. Member Morrison would have raised the full listing.
Pull
Yeah,
the
I
mic
think,
closer to you.
Yes. Yeah. It points again to, a fundamental problem, which I don't want to blame you or the hospital officers directly, but there is a need for, and as we deep dive into further things, because Chairman, we may have to come back.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Because there are a lot of issues that are here. Needs to be properly ventilated, as Member Morrison is saying, so that the public understands it. But what is being painted is just, a free-for-all and a broad. Yes. Thank you.
All right, Member Miller.
I want to find out how often is their procurement committee in place? How often do they meet? And why is it that there was no procurement plan in place? And how the procurement committee went about approving contracts if you don't have records? So I don't know if you'll be able to help me or
Yes. The procurement committee meets every fortnight on a scheduled
Oh, that's
basis,
good.
but there are circumstances that may require them to meet even within that time period because of urgency of matters. They will, what is presented to them, anything over the 3 million threshold that Ministry of Finance highlighted, would have to go and be reviewed by them. And that is what they use to operate. There are minutes of their meetings. There in the past, some were not, things as the auditors said, were not in the minutes because they were not presented to the procurement committee for review.
So how did the procurement committee go about approving the contracts if documents weren't presented?
Well, they didn't approve anything. It didn't come to them, so they would not have approved or rejected anything.
So the procurement committee then just existed and met and did not approve anything?
No.
Let me understand.
No. There are circumstances, there are things highlighted by the Auditor General and by our internal audit where, in fact, items that were processed did not go through the proper procedure, which include a procurement committee having received it, reviewed it, and made a decision on it.
Very well. So the procurement committee then was circumvented in this process?
In some cases.
Very well.
All right, member